So here's just a basic tenet when you're trying to build a business or design a website. You have to, and this is going to sound crude, you have to come at it thinking that people are going to use the least effort and do the minimal as possible. And you have to figure out how to design around that, right? And I'm not saying I'm not saying people are not, um, they're not caring and all that kind of stuff. It's just that they're very self-interested and they want to do the minimal at any particular time. And if you design things or if you think about things that are going to be really difficult to use, or even if you just have a slight hurdle in what you're actually designing, just a little bit of friction of some sort, nobody's going to use it. And it's just not going to happen. And I'm repeated by that. And it's very much, it's deeply challenging to design something that is like that, that is so simple and so basic that anybody can use it, um, and that it minimizes the amount of effort that somebody goes through. It's just extraordinarily hard to actually do that, particularly as you start building more and more things, because what ends up happening is that if somebody is self-interested, which is everybody, right? Um, Despite the fact that people will tell you to their face, they sort of want to, care and, all of that kind of stuff is not true at all. Um, you have to come at it expecting that people are not going to pay for anything. You gotta come at it thinking that, um, it's a very pessimistic view of people, and it's just because everybody is self-interested, right? And that's not necessarily a bad thing. I understand why everybody has time constraints, they have financial constraints, all of those kind of things, and so they don't want to do more than what's asked of them. Or if there's a slight complication, they will never use it. They'll never do it, right? Or if they think it just does not relate to what they're doing, they'll never, ever, ever, ever use it. They'll never do anything with it. Um, and that's the ultimate challenge of what you're trying to do with, building things. So I'm building the reciprocity platform, and man, is it ever hard to figure out how to get, you spend boatloads of money, you spend god awful amounts of time, and you still can't figure the damn thing out, right? Like you can't get it to the point where it is so easy that anybody at any skill level can enter it and could do it, right? To get somebody to just put their damn email in something is extraordinarily hard, right? Even when you have it, um, very basic design, very simplistic understanding of things, it's extraordinary hard to get anybody to do anything. Right now, I want you to sort of come at, when you're building something, remember that, right? Like just have an extraordinarily pessimistic view of human beings. And if you do that, you will design around it accordingly, and it will be somewhat more helpful. Too um it's still too advanced when you have a pessimistic view of human beings. I know that sounds really terrible, but it is. Um you got to come into it thinking like, I need to design around 3 or 4 year olds actually using this thing, like very, very minimal, so that people will actually use the damn thing, right? And that's the ultimate design challenge is how do you build complicated things that have a lot to offer at the same time as making it so simplistic that anybody can actually use it. And you will find, that's at the heart of why things often don't work or they don't grow, or it's because it's too difficult to use. Even as something as remarkable as ChatGPT, and as remarkable, it's like mind blowing when you use it. It's still the design interface. It's still too complicated. It's still too hard to use when you actually try it. Um, it is hard. And so there's going to be a lot of people that will never use it. They will look at it and say, it's not for me. It sounds too complicated, and it's really not. But because of the fact that it seems like a hurdle to people, they will never use it. Even and it could even be the more competent people will never use it because they've got all of these insecurities that are behind who they are. They've defined themselves based on this competence. So I want you to really think about that. Is the process of design is extraordinarily hard. And you have to have a very pessimistic view of human beings just to get people to get people to even try the damn thing. And then even still, it's still going to be hard. Even when you have a viral hit, like it blows my mind that there's still people that have not tried ChatGPT, for instance, at all levels, right? There's like CEOs and, people that should be using the damn thing, but people just don't use it, right? And even at high competence levels, they're not going to use it, right? I want you to really think about that it's if you build something, don't take offense to it. It's going to be very extraordinarily hard. You will have to really, really dumb things down and make it very simplistic. And just know that it's the nature of the beast when you design something. I know that this sounds really rude on the other side, but it is the nature of the beast when you're building something. It's not until people are using it that they're using it. And I know that sounds really silly, but even if it's cool to you and people are not using it, they're not using it, right? So you really need to think about how to make it more simpler, easier, welcoming, all of those things. You just have to really dumb things down and make it just painfully, painfully obvious for 3 or 4 year olds, right? If your 3 or 4 year old can pick this damn thing up and look at it and know what to do, then you're on the right track. But until then, like, you're just going to be struggling to get it to work the way that you want it to. So just imagine that with anything you're building. Make it super simple. And even when you think it is simple and you're like, yeah, this is it's really easy, it's still too complicated. And so you're just gonna have to iterate, and that's where the money comes in. That's where it's expensive, is that you have to make it just continuously more simpler, continuously more basic. Any hurdles, any hurdles. It's like that. So in I learned about physics and fluid flow a long time ago. If there's any hurdles in the way in fluid flow, it rapidly deteriorates that fluid flow. And just things just don't move around. And that's what I want you to think about, is that you have to come at it as if that there's any little amounts of friction that are going to hold you back or hold it back. And any of those little tiny frictions, they have a massive impact in the end. All right. Take care and have a wonderful day.